Today I have a really cool watercolor exercise for you. What's up friends, Liron here. Thank you for joining me in another video. Today what I want to do is present you with a really cool watercolor exercise that I do. It's really fun and it really lets you get into the real creation with watercolor. It sort of takes the fat away and just talks about the bare bones of actually making something cool with watercolor. So what this exercise involves is painting something with the minimum amount of brush strokes. And we're gonna choose a subject. It will be birds because I know a few people asked me to do this, and also it's just a really good subject for that. And we're gonna look at the reference and try to recreate that in watercolor in the minimum number of brush strokes. We're talking minimalism here. We're talking about shapes and values, and that's it. And the thing is, you'll end up making like painting a bird with like 10 brush strokes, something like that, maybe 12, which is really cool. So let's get to it. So let's get going with the first bird here, and you can see it on the left side. And what I want to do is just draw using my brush directly, okay? So we're gonna be very forgiving because it's not something that's necessarily that easy to do when you're just starting out, okay? Sorry, I just moved some stuff around. So it's perfectly okay if your drawing won't be as good, because this is why we're practicing. The only goal is the minimum number of brush strokes. So the way I see it, again, watercolor is top to bottom, so we're gonna start with the beak. So I'm gonna just get the shape in, and it's sort of like goes from right to left. It becomes a little thicker. It's really not ideal, but I'm gonna try anyway. I'm just gonna move to the left and somehow get it. Okay, so that's the beak, okay? And the thing is, we want to let it all run together because it's watercolor, and that's the beauty of it. So I'm gonna mix quickly here some kind of a gray. I'm doing it using some burnt sienna and French ultramarine, mixing some gray here, and it's gonna be for the top of the head of the bird. And it's a bit on the bluish side because it is the bird is dominated by a blue color. And I'm just gonna go like this and close it up, okay? So that's the top part. Again, you see it's nothing perfect, but it's totally fine. Now we're gonna go back to the black that we used a moment ago, just to get that dark spot here, okay? We have this sort of a line that goes like this. You know what, it's not dark enough. I'm gonna use a little more black in that mixture. And this is sort of the line that's between, it connects also to the eye, okay? Like that. And now we want to go back to the gray again for the bottom part of the bird's body. Just mixing here again, that very similar brown mixture. I'm just gonna light it up a little because I used, I think, a bit of a dark one. So now that it's lit up, we can go for the figure. So what I see here is there's this body of the bird. I'm gonna try again and get it in one go, and whatever happens, happens. There's like this, then it goes back to this rounded shape, and that's it. That's for the curve here, okay? The next part we want to get in, and I know I left a gap here, but it's really impossible to do everything perfectly when you're just working like that with minimum number of strokes, so it's okay. Now I'm gonna take some phthalo blue, which is super rich, super strong. Maybe I'm gonna calm it a bit with French ultramarine, and I'm gonna use that for the back, where the sort of beautiful feathers are of this. I think it's a blue jay. I'm not a bird expert though, so I think that's what it is. So it sort of goes like this, you see? And then we close it off, sort of like that, okay? So that's for the back and the really rich area. And you don't have to actually go like me, roop, roop, like that. You can just get it, you know, you can try and go for minimum. I'm going for like 1, 2. You can play around with it, see what's more fun to you and what's more, you're gonna learn anyway. So now I'm gonna go back to the lighter gray. I'm gonna keep it about as light or dark as it was earlier. Just gonna get that area here on the left like this, and then I'm gonna get this area on the right as well. Okay, now we have the tail, which is a big part of this one. So again, I'm mixing a pretty rich mixture here. I'm just gonna get it like this, like 2 swoosh movements, and it's good. So we have a little bit of, I think, a bump here. That's the only thing that sort of annoys me in the structure. We can sort of balance it out by adding a bit more here, I think. So we can go like this. That's better. Now there's the leg of the bird on the left, and I'm just gonna get it again very simply. I'm just observing the reference really carefully. It goes like this, and it wraps around the sort of tree branch here. Let me just move it a bit here. And for the tree branch, you can be really, really easygoing. Just get it in one stroke, maybe 2, because there's the bird's body in the middle. So you can just go like this. That's the left part, and then like that. That's the right part. And this is it. We're done with this bird. Now, because there's a white gap here, which is actually the inner part of the bird, we can mix up a mixture just to create a background and make it make the white area pop using it. So I'm mixing a dark background here. I'm using sort of the leftovers of the phthalo blue and some sap green and some of the French ultramarine. And I'm gonna just start with the area that's white. I'm just gonna leave this gap here, like this, like that, and that's it. There you go. You have the background, really simple. You can even leave a bit more white here just to create the impression that it's the inner part of the bird's body. And just by adding the background, it's gonna make it look nicer. And hopefully you can see this. I will try, you know what, I can even try to go over this area just to create the impression there's less of a bump, so we can use that to our advantage. And you see it's corrected a bit. Light up the mixture a bit, go all the way around it. And you don't really, this is optional, it's just to bring out the white here. You can definitely skip that area. So anyway, that's the first bird, and you can go back and just add more details if you want to. For example, for the very feathery area, I can just start dabbing in some of the beautiful feathers here. I can go back and darken the gray area under the wing because this one's a bit darker. You know, you can go back and do it. You're not limited to you don't have to limit yourself, really. But for me, for this exercise, I choose to go as minimal as possible. So now we can move on to the next bird. The main color sort of dominant here, we have this orange for the body. So I'm just gonna add some Pyrrole Scarlet, a bit of New Gamboge, mix it up really well. Add some burnt sienna maybe just for the fun of it, some sepia, just playing around with it, see what will come out of it. A bit more orangey, and we're ready to go. I'm just gonna use that mixture. Okay, so now we can start with the sort of left area of the body, and I'm just gonna go for it, you know. Sometimes you just gotta go for it. So I'm gonna use this weird orangey mixture here to get the belly area of the bird. So that's the belly area. Now I'm going to make it a little more sepia-ish, maybe even add a little bit of blue just to tone it down. And use that for this area here that we have. And you want it to actually bleed together as much as possible. Not necessarily as much as possible, but you don't care for, you can let it run together. Now I'm going to use some cool yellow here, because there's a bit of yellow on the bottom part. It's gonna indicate it like this. And this is basically it for the, just let me move it a bit, zoom a bit. So this is basically it for the body. Now we can add the legs. So I'm just gonna mix some sepia and some red, just to get a little bit of a pink thing going. Some more water. Hopefully I'll improve my setup so that you can see all of this together. I'll have one camera aimed at the palette and another one just for the painting itself. I really want to get, like, I really enjoy sort of documenting my my work because it really allows people to see the progress. And I think it's important because when working to acquire a skill like that, it's really just about the practice, you know. And you have to put in the hours. You know, there's a lot of things you can do smart and save time, and I think you should be practicing in an efficient way. You see, this is the tree branch. This is all there is to it. So I think you should be practicing in an efficient way. But aside from that, you got to put in the hours, you know. So I'm exercising really efficiently. I'll publish, or I may have already published a video about that, about my practice routine and how I do this. And I'm all for being as efficient as possible. But after you've done everything to be efficient, you have to just put in the work. So that's it. For the beak, like that, I think I got it a little too high, which makes it like a funny shape for the head. I'm gonna fix it in a moment, and then the eye, and I'm just gonna add some part of the, like, some more to the top, and it'll make it look a little more like a bird, I guess. So there you have it, it's like a bird. I just slammed that paint all over its eye, and now it's like melting. But I think we have the impression down. Let me zoom out. So here's the final result, you know, not perfect, but it's perfect. Because this is what you want. You want to be able to just paint with the minimum amount of brush strokes. And trust me, when you practice this, after a while, when you will do some kind of a painting, you will have this really annoying shape to put in, and you'll be like, I don't know about it. Then you're gonna put it, and it's gonna be perfect. And you'll remember that you did this exercise a few times before, and this is what actually helps you get there. I shared also on my Instagram another experiment I did. It's actually, this is the same bird, this is a different one, and so you can see I really like the way this turned out, but you can argue that this one's more accurate. It really doesn't matter. All that matters is that you're practicing. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed it. Let's wrap up this video. So this is it, friends. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, subscribe to my channel for more awesome videos, and don't forget to follow me on Snapchat and Instagram. I've been really active on these channels lately, and you may have noticed that I've been also really active on YouTube. It's just that I really enjoy making these videos, and I think people want more, so it's really good. Anyway, this is it. I'll talk to you soon. Take care.